Hey everyone, Carol here, and I just want to do a little follow-up video in regard to this article, When Enough is Enough. When enough is enough, that's when people get to that point of seeking help. They're at the end of their rope, they're at the end of their tether, they don't know what else to do, and their problem may also be carrying over into other areas of their life. Enough is enough. So I'm asking you, for those of you who are watching it, are you at that point where you need to speak to someone? That's why we're here, right? It's incredible how many people I have spoken to in regard to helping them with their problems. And then they say, oh, I've got to think about it. I need to go and check with someone to see if it's okay. But then enough is enough. So I want to share a little story with you. There was an old man and he was sitting on his veranda of his house in his rocking chair, just happily enjoying his day. And then a young traveling salesman came walking down his driveway. Happy guy, and he was really excited about whatever it was he was selling. And, he was sharing, with this old fellow what he had in his suitcase. And then he turned and he looked at the man's dog. Now the man's dog was just sitting, a little way away from him. And he goes, oh, I think there's something wrong with your dog. And he goes, oh no, don't worry about him. He's fine. And as he was talking, he noticed that the dog was whimpering and, making these really unusual sounds. So he went over and he looked at the dog and he noticed that the dog was actually sitting on a nail. And, the nail was actually in the dog's leg. And he said to this fellow, he said, oh, look, I think you need to help your dog because he's sitting on a nail. And the old guy said, no, look, don't worry about him. He's fine. He just hasn't been in enough pain yet. When he's been in enough pain, he'll get up and do something about it. And this is an analogy or a metaphor that I use a lot for people who are in pain. They are in mental pain. They are in mental anguish. They are getting triggered left, right, and center about different things. But yet they're not willing to do anything about it. They're happy to talk about it. Tell the world, but they're not willing to do anything about it. Or the other reason why people may not want to do something about their problem is because they are scared of who they will be without their problem. And they think, okay, this is a problem. I've had this problem a really long time. But you know what? I don't know who I'm going to be without it. And then that in itself creates another problem for them. Because this is the thinking. If I get rid of my problem, maybe people around me will treat me differently. Maybe I won't get the special treatment that I'm getting now that I have this problem. And I talked about this in the article. This is called secondary gain. And it's when it's more painful to do something about the problem than keeping it. Even though keeping it puts them in agony, it puts them in pain, it puts them in mental anguish. For these people, it's more painful. And, there's some questions that I ask when people come to work for me, work with me, and I ask them, when the problem is gone, what will that look like? What will that sound like? What will that feel like? And some people say, I don't know. But then others, they have all of these amazing answers of a beautiful life without the problem. And these questions are really, really important, because as a practitioner, as a therapist, I need to know, what is it that you want? And we have a list of questions that we go through, before we start working with someone, because I want to know from you, what is it that you want? What is it that you want at the end of this? If you decide to work with me, what is it that you actually want? And when I know, then I know what I need to do to help you. So I would like to think that, when you are at that point of enough is enough, make sure that you seek the help that you need. Because at the end of the day, this won't be just for you. Initially, yes. But in reality, if you get the help you need, that's going to impact a lot of areas of your life. It's going to impact relationships with your friends, your family, your loved ones. If your problem is impacting that, the solution is going to help that as well. This is about making sure that you're ready to move forward. Be ready to take on some challenges, that maybe working with me will give you. Because, doing this sort of work, it's not easy. It's not a walk in the park. But when you're ready, when you're ready to let go of your problem, when you're ready to let go of, the negative emotions, or, the feelings that you have about past events, the past events that are affecting you on a daily basis now, the feeling from past, bringing it forward, if you're ready to let go of all of that and step into cause and not be an effect of it, but stepping into cause. And what I mean by that, when we are at cause, we are taking responsibility for where we're at right now in our life. Problems and all, the good, the bad, and the ugly, we are taking responsibility for where we're at. That's being at cause. When we're in effect, we're actually blaming people. We're blaming other people. When you're in effect, you can't actually move forward. So it's really important that before you do the work, or even decide to do the work, make sure you're ready to be at cause for whatever part you've played in getting to this point. And I explain this a lot more when people are working with me, because it's a little bit more in depth than what I'm talking about here. But just know that it's much better to address the problems before it gets to that enough is enough, I can't take this anymore. And just know that there is always a solution.